Hello everyone, my name is Chandler Two, and that is T as in Tango, W as in Whiskey, and O as in Objectivism. Hello everyone, today I will be answering a few of your questions, which for the most part is a waste of my time, but I guess like a restaurant chef who has to often make crappy entrees for customers who have horrible taste. I don't always get to choose my customers, so let's begin. First question, dear Chandler, I noticed that you have a Christmas blanket draped over your window. And I was wondering, aren't you technically sanctioning mysticism like Christianity by having a Christmas blanket in all of your videos? Additionally, aren't you also sanctioning government intervention into the calendar by endorsing a religious holiday like Christmas? First of all, if you have been paying attention, you will remember that I used to have a NASCAR blanket draped over my window, and I am still a huge fan of NASCAR. I think that NASCAR is one of the most objectivist sports there is. NASCAR is a competitive sport where men have to use their mind and use reason and science to build fast and durable cars to win races. Additionally, if you have been paying attention to NASCAR, you will know that all of these cars are covered in sponsorships from corporations. So NASCAR is implicitly endorsing capitalism. Also, many of you may not know this, but NASCAR has its roots in Prohibition. NASCAR began when rum runners during the Prohibition era would fix their cars to make them much faster so that they could outrun law enforcement and police. And I can't think of many things more virtuous than rum runners and people spiting government intervention into the economy and society by delivering alcohol to Americans who so desire it. And for those who have been paying attention, you will know that I myself am a huge fan of alcohol. However, recently I went to my first NASCAR event and I came to discover that many of NASCAR's fans are nihilistic rednecks who are mainly there to see collisions and see accidents and see death. And ever since the death of Dale Earnhardt, the legendary Dale Earnhardt, NASCAR has become a lot safer and there are less collisions and nobody has died since, thank goodness. But as a result, NASCAR's viewership and attendance has fallen off a cliff. And so I did not want my viewers and supporters associating me with the nihilistic fans of NASCAR. So I took down my NASCAR blanket and put it back in my closet, which I think is pretty symbolic of the fact that I am now a closeted NASCAR fan. Now to the question about Christmas. Aren't you sanctioning Christianity by having a Christmas blanket draped over your window? First of all, you are dropping context. As you see, my blanket says ho ho ho, which is a tribute to Santa Claus, which is a more secular aspect of Christmas. There's no mention of Jesus or church or religion or sacrifice or altruism or any of that on my blanket. Additionally, aside from the NASCAR blanket, which is now in my closet, and the blanket behind me, I only own one other blanket, which is a Dragon Ball Z blanket with Goku on it, which is currently on my bed, which I use to keep warm and comfortable at night while I try to rest my body. And I will not devalue my Dragon Ball Z blanket or disgrace the character Goku, because if you have been paying attention, you will remember that I like Goku because Goku is a character that takes himself very seriously, and I myself take myself very seriously. So I will not use the Dragon Ball Z blanket to block out the sun like Mr. Burns did in that episode of The Simpsons. Now, you may be asking yourself, oh, but Chandler, you don't remind me of Mr. Burns. You remind me more of the comic book guy from The Simpsons. No, I am nothing like the comic book guy from The Simpsons. And besides, you are dropping context because this question has nothing to do with The Simpsons. Next question. Dear Chandler, I noticed a few months ago that you reached your Patreon goal of $1,500 per month. And with this Patreon goal, you promised that you would be able to deliver more content on a more consistent basis. However, I've noticed ever since you've reached this Patreon goal that you have delivered less content on a less consistent basis. So my question is, when can we expect more consistent content? Well, you are dropping context, which happens when you are not as honest as someone like me. I have mentioned multiple times that the $1,500 a month would be the bare minimum, which would only allow me to survive off of ramen noodles, which I am unwilling to do because that would mean a sacrifice of a delicious diet, and I am not willing to make that sacrifice because it is antithetical to objectivism. Also, if you have been paying attention, you will know that America's money and banking and financial industry are all controlled by the government. And one characteristic of this is the fact that we have a fiat monetary system, which means that the dollar is devaluing minute by minute. And when I established that Patreon goal, that was 2 years ago. And now that $1,500 is probably worth around $700, $800 tops in today's dollars. So I will need to make an adjustment to my Patreon goal and continuing to adjust it to match inflation. Now I can understand why some of you may find this frustrating, the fact that I don't deliver content on a consistent basis anymore, but don't get frustrated at me. Your real frustration should be directed toward the government for creating this irrational monetary system. Next question. Dear Chandler, I noticed that you are barely active on Twitter and you have no presence on Facebook at all. I was wondering if you would take more interest in doing social media, perhaps even extending yourself to platforms like Snapchat and TikTok. First of all, I tried getting on Snapchat a few months ago, and it's nothing but teenage morons who think they're clever for putting dog filters on their little faces. And I do not see any value in adding dog filters to my face or a top hat to my head or Grinch mustaches or whatever else is on Snapchat. I haven't been there in a while, but I see no value in getting on Snapchat just to put filters on my honest philosophical content, and I do not care to pander to that stupid audience. And the same goes for TikTok. If you have ever been on TikTok, you will know that it's mostly dishonest people trying to piggyback off of other people's music for attention. And if you have been paying attention to previous videos I have done, you will remember that I do not respect people using other people's music as a respectable art form. So no, I will not be getting on Snapchat or TikTok anytime soon. Next question. Dear Chandler, now that you and Raka Ali are not friends anymore, are there any other internet celebs that you would be willing to collab with? Well, I assume that you mean collab is short for collaboration, and for future reference, don't use stupid abbreviated concepts like celeb and collab for bigger words, because that shows how dishonest and stupid you are as a person. But to answer this question, first you are dropping context. Raka and I were never friends. I thought I could use Raka to reach a bigger audience, and I thought that I could help Raka become a more honest person. But if you have been paying attention, Raka clearly is too emotional to be as honest as an honest person like myself. So Raka and I were never friends. Secondly, to answer the question, are there any other internet celebs that I would be willing to collab with? I don't know of any off of the top of my head, although I have always been a fan of Lacey Green, and I would be interested in collabing with Lacey because, while I don't know this for certain, she strikes me as someone who has a big, beautiful butt, and if you have been paying attention, you will know that I am a huge fan of huge butts. But again, I do not know this because Lacey only makes videos where you see her from her big, beautiful breasts up, so I don't know for sure if she has a big butt. But based on what I've seen and based on the evidence, I think there is a high chance, a good chance, that Lacey Green has a huge, beautiful butt.